Okay, so we're reaching the climax of the book of Ecclesiastes. He has talked a lot about different things. He started off by saying everything is futile, everything is breath, everything is smoke, vapor, transitory, transient, here today, gone tomorrow, gone in the blink of an eye. And then he gave a lot of different reasons why. He talked about futility, he talked about injustice, he talked about meaninglessness, he talked about how life under the sun is going to be full of hardship, and it is, full of hardship, full of sorrow, and nothing we can do can really change that. We can gain all the wisdom in the world, we can apply all that wisdom perfectly at all times, and we still can't change that. It is our lot in life and our days on earth under the sun are best spent enjoying what we do, living the life that we have, the lot that God has assigned us, following God's commands, doing what He tells us to do, living according to His principles and His word, and enjoying what we do, enjoying what we have, enjoying the life that we have, enjoying the fruit of our labors, whatever that may be, whether we're a king or a commoner or a servant or a slave, a prince or whatever. It's like this is what we need to do. But now he's going to wrap it up by bringing it all back. But we're all going to die someday, no matter what we do, no matter how wise we are, how foolish we are, how content we are, how malcontent we are, how rich we are, how poor we are, whatever our conditions are, no matter what happens, we're all going to die someday. And who knows what happens after that? Solomon didn't know what happened after that. Who knows what happens after we die? We'll find out later in the Bible more about that. But Solomon doesn't know. He's saying, I don't know what happens. Who knows? Okay, it's like we're all going to die someday, no matter what we do, no matter what path we take, wisdom or folly, no matter which road we take, no matter what life choices we make, we're all going to die someday. It's going to happen. So now he's going to bring it back to that and talk about death. Talk about your death. What happens to you when you die. How you exit the stage and go to join the dead in Sheol. Light is sweet, and it pleases the eye to see the sun. However many years a man may live, let him enjoy them all. But let him remember the days of darkness. That means when he's dead. For they will be many. Everything to come is meaningless. The days of your life are few, but the days of your death will be many. Many days of death to come. And remember the days, while you're alive, while you're enjoying your life, remember, the days of darkness are coming, and they will be many. The days of your life, the days of the light, the days of the sun are few, but the days of darkness will be many. Be happy, young man, while you are young. Solomon is no longer young when he's saying this. And let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart, and whatever your eyes see. But know that for all these things, God will bring you to judgment, whether you're wise or foolish, righteous or unrighteous, just or wicked. God will bring you to justice. There is a time and place for all these things, and there is a time and place for judgment. So then, banish anxiety from your heart, and cast off the troubles of your body. For youth and vigor are meaningless, futile, breath, vapor. They're going to go away. Transitory, transient. You can't keep them. I wish I could. I wish I had my 20-year-old body back. I don't. I never will again. You can't keep them. I wish I had my 20-year-old hair back. I don't. I never will again. I couldn't keep it. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Solomon is probably experiencing those years. Solomon ended up probably not living all that long. You know, he was a young man when he became king, maybe even a teenager still, maybe even a boy in his late teens. I don't really know. I don't think he would have been any older than his early 20s at the latest. So the way they talk about him, when he becomes king, he seems to be a very young man, probably no older than 25, maybe even younger than that. He reigned for 40 years. So in the end, he only got to somewhere probably in his 60s, which isn't really that old. So David got to about 70. And then when we read about his end of days in First Kings, they're talking about him like he was like 90 or something. And he had a hard life that took a lot out of him, I think. And he ended up basically weak and impotent and frail. at an age probably when he was too soon. I mean, he was probably about 70 when he died, and they talk about him like he's 100. You know, Solomon, I don't think even got to 70. You know, he ended up, I think, not even making it as long as his father had. Probably because, as he lived, he decided to go down this path of kind of moderate folly and experience things that sapped his strength, and that God eventually cut his days short. So Solomon here is probably in his 60s, and is probably feeling these things happen to him from the perspective of an older man. And these are going to be figurative expressions here, referring to various aspects of old age. So we'll see if I can explain each of these word images he's going to be using here. So remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark. That's referring to the actual signs in the heavens. And the clouds return after the rain. Because when the sun sets, you know, all throughout the ancient world, and for many years thereafter, the sign, the suns and the moon and the stars, signs in the heaven, were seen as portents for what was going to happen to come. That's what astrology is all about. The whole idea of predicting the future based on what the sun, the moon, and the stars do. And that was a serious business in the ancient world. Eclipses and things like that were seen as disasters, signs of coming disaster for the king or the kingdom. So he's talking here about the sun setting figuratively on your life. Okay, it's like your sun, your light is about to go dark. You're about to die. And the clouds return after the rain. When the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, that's referring to your body, your muscles, no longer being able to hold you up and be strong. And when the grinders cease, because they are few, that's your teeth, okay? Women typically were the ones grinding the mills, grinding the food in the houses all day. They're saying that you're going to lose all your teeth. In the ancient world, they had no dental care, so the older you got, the more likely you're going to end up toothless. So the grinders, your teeth, are ceasing because as you get older, they're falling out. You don't have any left. And those looking through the windows, those your eyes, grow dim. So your muscles are weakening, your teeth are falling out, and your eyesight is dimming. When the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades, that means your sound is going, your hearing is going. When men rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs go faint, it means you can't get a good night's sleep any longer. You wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. Old people have that problem. I'm starting to have that problem. At 41, I'm starting to have that problem. Oh no, you know. When men are afraid of heights, and old people it's dangerous when they fall. I have a mom who's a grandmother now, and she's elderly, and we are always worried about her falling over. I look at these little kids, I have these nieces and nephews, the oldest ones now are 14, and of course I've seen them fall down all the time as they run around, and it's like, oh, they just get right back up again. I don't know how they do it. I could get up better than my mom can. That's like, I even look upon my nieces and nephews with envy at their ability to just fall flat in their faces and get right back up again. The older you get, the harder that is to do. So when men are afraid of heights and of dangers in the streets, being vulnerable to attackers, when the almond tree blossoms, you get gray hair, and the grasshopper drags himself along, and desire no longer, so it means you're impotent, you lose your sexual drive. So these are all symptoms of old age. Your muscles get weaker, your teeth fall out, your eyes grow dim, your hearing fades, you can't sleep through the night, you're afraid of falling, you're afraid of someone attacking you, your hair goes gray, your sex drive disappears, your physical virility, your ability to have sex even disappears. The man goes to his eternal home, then man goes to his eternal home, dies in other words, and mourners go about the streets. Remember him. So that's a funeral, basically. So you're dead. You've had all these things happen to you, and now you're dead. So we began the book talking about futility, and we're talking about we're all going to end up dying someday. Now we're in the book talking about this death. this picture of death that is going to come upon us all. We may not all get to old age. We may not all experience these things, as we get old. We may not. But we're all going to die. We're all going to die. And even if we, no matter what we do, we can't avoid these things. As time goes on, as we get closer to old age, we can't stop these things from happening. We have better dental care now than they did back then. That doesn't mean we don't have problems with our teeth. My mom has a full set of teeth, but she goes to the dentist several times a year to get her teeth put back in after they fall out. If she didn't do that, she wouldn't have a full set of teeth at this point in her life. It's like we can fix some of these things, we can delay some of these things today. They're going to happen anyway, though. They're going to happen anyway. Remember him, that man who is now dead, before the silver cord. Now, this is talking about drawing up water from a well here. This imagery here is all about drawing up water from a well. So the idea here is that the water in the well is water of life that is keeping you alive. And we're cutting our access off to that well, so now you're dead. Before the silver cord is severed, the cord that brings the bucket up from the well, and the golden bowl is broken, the bowl that has the water in it is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, and the wheel broken at the well. So you can't get the water any longer. You can't you're cut off from the access to the water of life. And the dust returns to the ground from which it came. That goes back to Genesis. Remember, we're calling back to creation now. We're back to the garden. And the spirit returns to God who gave it. When he breathed life into man, he takes it back again now. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. So let me read all that again. I explained what each of those images meant, those word pictures, because he has a lot of word pictures in there that refer to different aspects of old age. Okay? When we talk about the keepers of the house trembling, we're not really talking about men holding up a house and trembling. Okay, we're talking about your muscles, your joints, your body getting weak. And I went through and I listed all those things. Okay, but instead, so now, let me read through that passage again, Ecclesiastes 12, without interrupting to explain all those imagery, and just let the text flow as it's written, at least in our English copy here. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain, when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those looking through the windows grow dim, when the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades, when men rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint, when men are afraid of heights and of dangers in the streets, when the almond tree blossoms, and the grasshopper drags himself along, and desire no longer is stirred. Then man goes to his eternal home, and mourners go about the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is severed, or the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, or the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground from which it came, and the spirit returns to the God who gave it. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. That goes back to the first thing he said in Ecclesiastes 1:2. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. So he has brought his argument all the way around back to the beginning again. He started off saying it was all futile, all meaningless, all breath, all vapor. And he went all through the argument explaining why that was all the case. And he got back to where he started in the end. We have a few more verses left, though. The teacher's words are done. And now the author, the narrator, the one speaking for the teacher, explain, which I think is still Solomon. I think this is still Solomon talking about himself in the third person here. Is going to finish this off with a few more concluding thoughts. Not only was the teacher wise, but also he imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. Again, that's an identifying mark of Solomon. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. The words of the wise are like goads. They're the things that you use to kick in the sides of cattle to get them going in the right direction. They're collected, so it's kicking you in the right direction, basically, is what he's doing. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them. So there's the my son language again. Again, like the speaker of Proverbs spoke. Of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. So sometimes you just have to put the books down and go out and enjoy yourself. That goes back kind of to the over-righteous aspect. You can study too much. You can try too hard to be righteous. You're never going to achieve a saving righteousness. You can try too hard to do that. You can be legalistic. You can study too much. You can fill yourself up with more knowledge than is practical for you to have if you don't actually use it, if you don't enjoy it. You got to be careful about that. Of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. Now that all has been heard, here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's why we're here. We talked about man's lot in life. We're here to do the work of God, to fear God and keep his commandments. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Whatever you do in life, however you do it, however long you do it, whether you fear God or not, whether you follow his commandments, keep his commandments, live according to his principles or not, he's going to bring everything into light someday. There's going to be a time, he set apart all these different times now, hasn't he? There's going to be a time when he does that. It's going to happen. And just as all these other seasons in life come and go, there's going to be a day when he sets everything right, when he corrects the what has been made crooked, and he calls the past to account and sets right what's gone wrong. And that means everything you've ever done, everything I've ever done, and nobody is going to escape it, no matter how righteous or unrighteous we are. So fear God and keep his commandments. Live your life according to his word. Live your life to its fullest. Enjoy what you do. Enjoy your life while you have it. Because and someday you're going to meet God. Someday the end of your world is going to come at your death. You don't have to wait for the end of the world. You have to wait for the end of your world. We talk about that lengthy process describing what it's like for you to die. That's going to happen to each one of us. It doesn't matter when the world ends. What matters is when our world ends. We're going to see this concept elaborated upon in the works of the prophets in terms of the day of the Lord, when the day when the Lord comes in judgment on a people. And that happens to us individually at the day of our death. There's going to come a time, and in our case it's going to be when we die, when when all of our stuff is going to come into account, be called into account. So live your life, enjoy your life, enjoy your wife, enjoy what you have, enjoy the works of your hand. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you're supposed to do that. Enjoy your food, enjoy your drink, enjoy your wife, enjoy sex. Enjoy what you've got while you've got it. You're not going to have it forever. It's going to go away and go to someone else when you're dead. And you're going to die, and nothing you can do about that. And fear God and keep his commandments. And then, as we'll see in the later books, as we get to the prophets, and they start talking about the day of the Lord, and they start talking about the judgment. Solomon didn't know what was going to happen. Over and over in that book, he asked, who knows what's going to happen? He didn't know. The prophets are going to help us get some insight into that. That question is going to be answered as we go, at least to the greatest degree that we have, as we go forward. Solomon didn't know. He asked over and over again, who knows what's going to happen? Well, some of the prophets are going to give us insight into that as we go on. And so we're going to know what's going to happen to a certain degree after we die. But it's all going to be based on what we do in this life. Fear God, keep his commandments, and then we won't have any reason to fear our day of the Lord. When the day of the Lord comes, whether it comes on us individually, or us communally, or us nationally, or us universally, because all these things happen. The day of the Lord comes upon a person, it comes upon a family, it comes upon a community, it comes upon a nation, and someday it'll come upon the entire world. But if we fear God and keep His commandments, we don't have any reason to fear that, because it's going to be a day of deliverance for us. We're all going to die. We're all going to face our own day of the Lord, whether we're righteous or wicked. But one group of people is going to have a reason to fear that day, and the other group of people will have a reason to rejoice in that day. That's the thing that Solomon doesn't know here. That's why I said we can't take Ecclesiastes as a final word on the matter. We're only halfway through the revelation of God. So there's a lot more to still be filled in that Solomon didn't know about here in his day. Solomon didn't have some of the answers to his questions, but we're going to get some more of those answers to come. Remember back in Deuteronomy 29, verse 29, when Moses talked about the secret things that belong to the Lord our God, and the things revealed to us, the things revealed belong to us and our children forever. Moses didn't have what Solomon had. When the days of Moses ended, only part of the revelation of God had been revealed to him and the people of the time. By the time Solomon comes along, there had been more of a revelation from God. And there's going to be more even after the days of Solomon. They're going to help answer some of the questions that Solomon asks here. So that's the book of Ecclesiastes. Next time we'll get to the book of Song of Solomon. And I get to teach about sex. You think I'm the one who's qualified to do that? No. I am going to go ahead and read it, though, even though I'm definitely not the person who is best qualified to talk about this particular book. We'll get to that next time.